those, but those really impressed me, so I spent some time trying to understand why it's next big thing. Few words about me. My name is Dmitry. For life, I do iOS coding. I do this for almost 8 years, working as an employee and as a contractor for some big brands like Discovery and some local IT companies. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, where you will see the link to today's keynote and some reference. So the agenda for today's talk would be 3 major things: the Xcode 9, the latest IDE for iOS developers, the machine learning, why it's next big thing, why Apple spent so much time and so much effort to improve this, and augmented reality. And we're going to start with Xcode 9, which is in beta 6 right now. This is the latest available for developers. There are many changes that Apple has announced on the DubDub conference, and in specific talks there are some of them which were not announced by the conference but discovered by the other iOS developers, and I'm going to show them later. And there are also many improvements for the simulator, and I'm also going to demo those. So apologize, I will sit most of the time. Okay, so let's get started. The first and obvious thing that was improved by Apple is the text editor, this one. So as you mentioned in a previous talk, that in order to improve the font size, the speaker should go somewhere here and select presentation large or a simple presentation. No more. Now you can increase the font size by pressing Command and plus and Command and minus. iOS developers, bear with me. It's a big achievement. Okay, the next big thing is Github integration. So Apple spent some time trying to integrate working with a GitHub, as they announced on the conference. And now, in an account section, we can add a GitHub account and try to download their project directly from the Xcode. So once you have added your GitHub account here, you can do this by pressing this plus button and add either normal GitHub or enterprise GitHub account. Then the next time you open Xcode, you will have this clone an existing project. A tiny window appears, and you can search in the GitHub repositories. So let me search mine. Git iOS 11. Here it is. And before even cloning the project, I can access the README file. Hooray! Okay, the next big thing is refactoring. So this is the pretty simple application with only one view controller, one simple class, which is a dummy class with only one property in it, nothing more. But somehow we use this class in our view controller. On pressing button, we create an instance for a class, setting its property and displaying into label. So now imagine that I want to rename the simple class. You know how much pain in the ass it was previously. No more. Check this. Press refactor, rename, and Xcode will show you all the places where this class name is used. Even though it's also included, it also will rename the class in the comments and the file class itself. So these ugly Android developers will have no more jokes about our refactoring system. It's working now perfectly. Okay, the next big thing is wireless deployment, wireless build. In order to do this, first you need to set up your device to work wirelessly with your Xcode. Navigate to the devices window, and the magic should happen. And the magic should happen. Yes. So the magic didn't happen for some reason, but when your device and your working machine is on the same network, you will have a second check mark here. It will display, it will name as show when connected via Wi-Fi or something like that. Basically, this will allow you. Okay, for some reason it still see my device, although you can see it's not attached with a wire. So let me try to build it wirelessly. So as you can see, let me launch the simple application. and there are no other application running. And now I run simple application. Sorry guys, not with this network, but believe me, it's working. My comment, it's working slightly slower than with the wire, but still it's working. And the only limitation is that you need to have a pin set up on your device. Otherwise, for some reason, you cannot check this check mark. It's a requirement from the Apple, although you don't need to enter it anywhere when you start with the Xcode. So, wireless build, believe me, it's working. Speaking about this header, how many of you hate this format? Yeah, me too. No more. Apple now allows us to provide a template for this header file. So all the previous files were created with a built-in system where you have the file name, application name, and some dummy text. Now, if you open the project file, navigate to user data. Now, let me increase slightly. Now Apple has provided a dedicated file name where you can specify the format for the headers. Let me open it to show you what is inside. So it's a normal plist file with a key header file, which use the organization name, which is defined below, and you have also the date. So now, when I will create a new file in the application, empty Swift file, it will follow my pattern. Magic. You can place this file either in your user folder, subfolder of the project, or the project itself. So every user who's using this project will use this file to generate this header. Or you can place it into workplace, or you can place it in specific folder in library subfolder on your Mac. So all the projects that you create on this machine will use this pattern. And to get more information about what exactly you can place there, what are the placeholders, you can search for Apple string placeholders, something like that. So all the references are on the website. Okay, the next thing is simulator. Let's run our awesome application on the simulator. We selected the iPhone 7 model. So obviously it will run with iOS 11 on board. We have it. It's kind of working. More to that, you can now rescale this simulator. And you have even home button, which is working. No magic shortcuts anymore. But yeah, applause to Apple. The next thing, let's try to run it on another simulator. Unbelievable, we have 2 simulators in one time. We can have as many simulators as we want, at least according to Apple documentation. Although I wasn't able to run test case on more than one simulator. For some reason, it complains that it doesn't like something. It's still not working. But as we're still in beta, let's hope that Apple will fix it before the official release of Xcode 9. About the simulators. Sometimes working on a small screen, you would like to work in a full screen Xcode and having your simulator aside. To do that, normally people would drag and try to place it somewhere. So it is working for me because in this, there is a minor trick that you need to do to achieve this. You need to create an empty folder in your root path on your disk, Apple internal. This will unveil the additional menu for the simulator, and there is a magic check mark, allow full screen. So if we remove this, that's what user will normally get without this additional magic. So when you try to play the simulator by the Xcode, nothing happened. But now, allowing this, magic. So thank you, Apple. We were waiting so many years for that, but now it's here. Okay, let's bring all this stuff back. Okay, these are the main things with the Xcode. Let's get back to slides. Next big thing is machine learning. So how many of you are trying to do something for production with the machine learning? Not many hands, but it's because the machine learning is really hard to acquire. That's where Apple came to help us. So Apple tried to simplify life as much as possible for us, iOS developers, to use machine learning models in our application. So machine learning, in essence, meaning that you have some sample data. Think of it as a set of images with some object on that, or set of voice files, having mapped to what is this in these voice files, or having some text explaining what this text means. But for simplicity, just think of this sample data as a set of images with some real-life object on that. So when you want to incorporate machine learning into your application, what you need to do, you need to train your model. So you take the sample data, you train it with a neural network, and what you get in an output is a model. And that, where the machine learning comes for Apple. That's where it actually starts with an Apple. So machine learning with Apple is not about the training model, it's about using the model in the application. So once you have your model, you can now use it for prediction. For example, you have model train it against some real-life object images, and then you present some other image to your model. A model will try to identify what it sees on the picture. Why it's a big thing? Because Apple has invented, maybe not invented, but introduced and make it open source, the new unified model format. So now you can take your model trained in some other environment and convert it using the open source convert tool written in Python by Apple, and convert it into ML model and incorporate in the iOS application. And using this trained ML model in the application is really, really easy. I don't know if you see this. I will try to increase slightly. So this is basically a screenshot from Apple's presentation WWDC. They specifically wanted to highlight that CoreML is a really complicated framework. And to improve our life, they provided two more frameworks, which is Vision Framework and NLP. Vision is Apple trained. Vision Framework is using Apple-trained models to identify the faces, the element of the face, like nose, eyes, etc., identify the squares, identify the barcodes, and some text. And NLP is for natural language processing, which is another subset of Apple-trained models to identify text. But we're not going to cover them. Now we will just speak about the pure core ML model. As I mentioned before, Apple has provided an open source tool written in Python, which can, for now, they can work only with these models. If you're wondering, is it working with TensorFlow? No, it's not working yet. But Apple has provided enough documentation, and they claim that you can write your own conventor. So probably somewhere right now is sitting some developer who's writing his own conventor from TensorFlow to our model. Let's wait for official release of the new Xcode, and probably this model will be added to the conversion tool. As I mentioned already, the neural network and machine learning is not only about the images, it's about the text, about identifying handwritten text, identifying the images, identifying the voice, identifying helping you, suggesting you when you're typing, and many, many other areas. But we're going to focus in our short demo on images only for simple life. So, things to know, really important. No training is happening on device. You need to train your model before you upload it to the device. You cannot access intermediate levels, if you understand what I'm talking about. It's about the neural network levels. You can only access the final. So ML model has a significant limitation. As I mentioned, TensorFlow not support yet, and there was a question. Many people were asking on the internet. For example, I have a trained model which is shipped with my application. Then, when my application is released and people download it, a week later, I discovered that I made some mistake. I retrained another model. How can I deliver it to my users? Should it be another application? Before the beta 6, yes, you should deliver the next application. But with Xcode beta beta 4, I believe, they have added compile model method, which means that you can download the model from within application, compile it because the model is stored as a bundle, and you can use it. So you don't need to release a new version of application. You can just update your model on the device. And there was also many discussion about where my computation should happen on the CPU or GPU. Before beta 5, I believe, the only option was the CoreML will decide itself where to run on CoreML or on CPU or on GPU. It will choose the best from her perspective, the most efficient way to save your battery, to use your processor, etc. But now we have ML prediction option, which you can limit and say run only on CPU, no GPU involvement. That's all control we have for now. Okay, let's check some demo. So for demo, we will use a really simple application, which is using this quiz model. So this QuizNet, I believe you can see this, but I will increase slightly. So this QuizNet trained model is available on the website Machine Learning. You can download it free. As you can see, its size is only 5 megabytes. And as says here, it detects some objects in real life. As an input, it takes the image, and as an output, it sets the class label, saying that I see bottle, I see face, I see window. And it also provides the probability. So I believe this is 90% probability it's a bottle, etc. Right here we see the generated class. So the magic happens in the Xcode. I will show it later with another model, but this is auto-generated. So how can we use this model in our application? It's really simple. So first of all, we need, of course, to define it, to create. This name comes from here. So in our view control, we created the model. And then blah, 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 blah. We can take a prediction from it. Let me show you how it's working. So let me show you the screen. Okay. Okay, so this model thinks that this is a soap dispenser. Wonderful. And this is letter opener, paper knife. Awesome. I don't think this model is rubbish. Let's take another one. Luckily, as I mentioned, we can download it from the Apple website, but I've downloaded it already. So it is here. Okay, so we have a beta model, which is Inception version 3. Simply drag and drop into your project. Let's make sure we copied it. Attach it to our target. And once you attach it, you've noticed that it's automatically generated all the classes you need. You can go and have a look what it generated. But here, now we are only interested in its model name. So, as in previous, for input we take an image, for output we use class label and probability for this. And we copy this name, go to our view controller, and replace our not working model with a working one. And that's all. The rest of the code stayed the same. Now let's see if this model is better. Oh, it's a computer mouse. And this is ballpoint pen. Unbelievable. It's good for the model, but check the size. The QuizNet was 5 megabytes only, the Interception version 3 is 94 megabytes. The biggest model now on the Apple website is 500 megabytes. So you need to think twice before you will use the bigger model, the better trained model into your application. You need to think of the size that it will occupy. Okay, that's all for now. Let's go back to slides. The next thing is augmented reality. To better demonstrate what augmented reality is, I brought the Lego catalog. I don't know how many of you playing with this, but my kids adore it. So this is not a Lego catalog. You can find in official Lego store or in some other toy store. So this is just advertising of what the models can be you can buy in the Lego store. But the good thing is that on some pages, I don't know if you see this, there is a yellow badge. So what you need to let me bring the iPhone. So you need to download the Lego application, which is available for iOS and for Android. Open it. Bring product alive. And point to this magic banner. So you see what an awesome Lego world is opened for us. Let's pick another one. So this was available for big brands like Lego or IKEA before that, but normal, ordinary people, ordinary iOS developers, it would take ages for them to write something like this because it's really complicated. Now Apple has unveiled the secret, and they provided us with an ARKit framework. So ARKit will work on all the devices with chip A9 and higher, and it, in essence, in the high-level API to working with augmented reality. The trick is when you try to think what augmented reality is, you have a real world, then you have your camera, and you see a subset of real world on your monitor. So in order to add some virtual object, you need to identify the plate. You need to identify where are you in the world, what are you looking at through your camera, how big is what you're looking at, is it a table or is it a field, is it a train, is it a car, is it just a cup, and you need to understand where the scene is. So is it a table, is it a floor, is it a wall, is it something in the air? And the third part is really hard one, which is rendering. So after you identified what you see, and after you identified how big is what you see and where you can place the object, you need to render so the user can see this, this object. For that, Apple provided us with SceneKit, SpriteKit, and Metal Models rendering. For those who did some programming with SceneKit and SpriteKit, it should be relatively easy. For me, as I'm new to this, it was really complicated to understand what it's mean. But the whole idea is really simple. So ARKit is a session-based API. Whenever you start application, you need to create a new augmented reality session. And these are the main 4 classes that you will work with. So with the configuration, you can identify what exactly you are trying to track. I trying to find the walls. I trying to find some plate. I trying to catch the people and add something to them, etc. And running this session will produce a set of frames. So basically a frame, I will tell a bit about it a bit later. A frame is just a snapshot of reality, what you see. And then there is an anchor. Anchor is a specific place in real world to where to attach to. So let me provide more details. When you start an augmented reality session, it will start the capture session and motion manager. So you don't need to do this manually. It started in the background and it's working. So the frame is basically the captured image of what you see with some tracking information. It will include the real world data, so is it big or small, and how far are you from it. So all the scene understanding is included into a single frame. Then you need to apply some magic to this frame in order to show this. Yeah, this is the anchor. Okay, demo. Let's hope it will work, because it's not always working with all the surfaces. So the first thing I'm going to show is Apple provided sample code for augmented reality. Yeah. So as you see, if you press the refresh button, it will initialize a new session. It will try to track where it is and try to identify some surface. Okay, it detected surface. So the object can be placed here. Let us add a candle. So it's kind of working. Let us add something more. Identify the surface. Maybe here. Yeah. Let's try to add a chair. Ooh. It's sliding somewhere. Bye-bye. Yeah. As I mentioned, it needs some marks on the plates to identify where it's looking at, because I believe at some point you can even place cup in the air. Yeah.
Where is it?
It's there, believe me. Okay. So, is it hard? Is it complicated or not? Let's check the Xcode. So, Apple has provided us with a really good template. So, we'll start the new application. And we even have a preset template for augmented reality application. Let's run it. Let's call it Augmented Reality Demo. We'll use Content Technologies ThinKit, but you can use SpriteKit and Metal. For simplicity, we'll use ThinKit. We'll place it on the desktop. We'll select the... Okay, let's try to run and see. Oh, it's working. So, this was just a template. Let's have a look at code. Is it complicated or not? As you can see, we have only one view controller. And right here we have scene view, which basically the webcam view on top of our view controller. This is our property. Then we set ourselves as a delegate. Show statistic is this funny thing on the bottom. So we wanted to, and we used prepared by the Apple sheep scene. And for our scene view, we say that let's apply our sheep scene to our scene view. And that's all. In view will appear, we only run with the predefined configuration or pause when the screen disappears. So that's all code what you need to do. It's really simple. Let me show you another example, which is the same application but slightly improved version. This one. Let's run. So idea is the same. We will see the airship flying in the space. Okay.
Can you switch?
Oh, sorry. I was enjoying this on my own. So you can see the ship. Now I've added some lines of code which will take a snapshot of what I see right now in a frame and add it as a virtual frame. Oops, sorry, wrong quotation. Need to fix this. No, let me do this way. Let me add some. Yeah. So let's have a look at code. Was it complicated to write something like this? So this is basically the example that Apple used on the WWDC conference, and this is all the code. So you can see we only have 100 lines. So the magic happens here. when we handle the tap, we create a current frame from our scene. This is the plane. We define what will be the material for this scene, which basically our frame, and then we add some magic here, which means that whenever we create a snapshot, it will appear in 10 centimeters far away from my camera. And that's all. You apply transformation to place it in a normal position, and that's all. That's all you need to do. So as you can see, it's with just a few lines of code, you can add some amazing experience. Another cool thing is, I don't have a source code for that, but I really like the demo, really like the experience with what you can do with this. So I would like you to demonstrate augmented reality content creation. Let's hope it will work. Okay, lucky. So let's write something. Let it be up. Didn't work well. Sorry for that. Okay. Let us make it simple. We'll just make a circle and make it 3G. Voila. That's all. I don't know how much effort the guy spent for this, but it appears maybe a couple weeks after the official WWDC presentation. So I don't believe it took him a lot of effort to implement this. The other cool thing that I found on the internet, probably you've seen it, but I'd like to share this with you, is this one. So these guys even provided beta tester program, but they were banned by the Apple because of that, because before the official release, all the applications are under NDA. You cannot share with third party. So this is just a demo of the Neon application, which will be launched when the iOS 11 is out. I really like the idea. So I think you've got the idea of this. Okay. Well, normally people here either ask questions or make applause if they are annoyed by me. Okay, thank you.